My friend, life is not a struggle, it is a game, and when you play it in harmony with divine law, the very things you desire begin to rush toward you. Too long have men and women toiled with worry, fear, and doubt, believing that money comes only by endless effort or by anxious planning. Yet Spirit whispers a greater truth. You do not chase money, you align with it, and it arrives as naturally as the tide returns to the shore. Life is indeed a game, yet not the kind of game where chance and luck rule over destiny. It is a divine game, structured by spiritual laws that are far more precise than the rules of any earthly contest. When you understand and align yourself with these laws, you discover that abundance, wealth, and success come not through endless labor or worry, but through harmony with the unseen principles of spirit. The truth is that you are not required to struggle or force the hand of destiny, for destiny unfolds with ease when you are in tune with divine order. Life becomes smooth, graceful, and full of surprises that deliver exactly what you need at the right moment. When Florence Scovel Shinn spoke of life as a game, she meant that the player who learns the rules wins without strain, while the one who resists the rules faces needless obstacles. The rule of supply is simple. What you think, speak, and expect with faith becomes your reality. When you dwell on lack, the game responds with lack. When you focus on abundance, the game opens wide the storehouse of riches. To play this game well, you must realize that money is not withheld from you, nor is it earned by sheer sweat alone. Money, like every good gift, is a vibration that moves toward those who are receptive to it. The alignment comes when you release fear, cast out doubt, and live with an inner certainty that what belongs to you cannot be taken away. The universe holds an infinite supply, and you are connected to it as naturally as a branch is connected to the tree. The struggle comes only when a branch imagines it is cut off, when it forgets its source, and tries to live apart from the root. So too with people, they forget their link to divine substance and believe they must toil endlessly for crumbs, when in truth they are heirs to unlimited treasure. When you align with divine law, you stop pushing against the tide. You no longer declare with your words that money is scarce or that opportunities are far away. Instead, you affirm that the game is already rigged in your favor, that unseen forces are moving, and that your part is to remain in faith. The alignment itself opens doors you never imagined, introduces you to people who carry your blessings, and creates events that deliver your good in perfect timing. Alignment is not passive, but it is not anxious labor either. It is an inner stance of certainty, a posture of expectation, a calm knowing that abundance is your birthright. When you treat life as a divine game, you approach each day not with fear but with joy, not with doubt but with expectancy. You know that the pieces on the board are already moving for your victory. You know that when you follow the laws of thought, word, and faith, prosperity cannot be kept away. This is the secret to living in effortless flow. Life becomes a delightful unfolding, and money arrives in ways so natural and timely that it feels as if it were always meant to be there. The mind is a magnet, drawing to itself that which it steadily holds in thought, and the words spoken aloud carry the vibration that sets these thoughts into motion. To understand this is to hold the key to the treasure house of life. Many people speak carelessly, not realizing that every word is a seed sown in the garden of their experience. When one continually speaks of lack, of debt, of hardship, those words take root and bear fruit of the same kind. The universe does not question or doubt. It simply returns to you the harvest of your own affirmations. This is why the one who constantly complains of poverty remains poor, while the one who speaks of abundance, even when appearances show otherwise, soon finds the tide of life turning in their favor. Your words are not idle. They carry the creative power of spirit, and when aligned with faith, they build bridges where there were none, open doors that seemed closed, and magnetize resources from unexpected quarters. To say, "I never have enough money," is to instruct the universe to withhold supply. To declare, "I am provided for in every way," money flows to me freely and in perfect order, is to command the law to bring forth abundance. The spoken word, combined with belief, creates a magnetic force so strong that it cannot be resisted. Money, opportunities, and blessings are simply drawn to the one who affirms them with unwavering certainty. It is important to understand that doubt weakens the magnet of the mind. To speak of prosperity one moment and then utter words of fear the next is like planting a seed and then uprooting it again. The harvest cannot grow under such treatment, but when your words remain steady, charged with conviction, the magnet grows stronger and draws supply with increasing speed. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn insisted that words be chosen with care, for careless words produce careless results. She urged her students to guard their tongues, to make their speech a tool of creation rather than destruction. Think of your mind as a great receiving station, tuned to whatever frequency you allow. If you tune to lack, then lack responds. If you tune to plenty, then plenty answers. Your words are the fine-tuning dial that keeps you in alignment. The moment you begin to speak consistently of wealth, of joy, of success, you send out a steady vibration that the universe must match. Like iron filings to a magnet, conditions, people, and resources begin to move toward you, drawn by the irresistible pull of your spoken declarations. Therefore, speak only of that which you desire. Let no word of limitation escape your lips, for each utterance shapes the field of your tomorrow. Declare abundance, affirm prosperity, and speak with confidence that the law is already working on your behalf. In doing so, you strengthen the magnet of your mind and watch as riches flow into your life with a power that seems miraculous, yet is simply the natural result of divine law. To say nothing of poverty and fear is to deny them the very breath they need to exist in your life. Poverty thrives on attention, and fear grows fat upon repetition. Each time a man laments his lack, he reinforces the chains that bind him. Each time a woman confesses her worry aloud, she carves a deeper channel for that worry to flow. Words are seeds, and when sown in the soil of the subconscious, they cannot help but bear fruit. If you continually plant seeds of want, you will reap a harvest of want. But if you refuse to give such thoughts the dignity of your speech, you strip them of their power. Silence becomes a weapon, a shield against the illusions of lack, and the soil of your mind remains free for seeds of abundance to flourish. When you withhold words of doubt, you refuse to water the weeds. You make space for faith to grow strong and for prosperity to rise in its place. To say nothing of struggle is not to deny its appearance, but to deny its permanence. When you look upon an empty purse and resist the urge to speak of despair, you are practicing a higher law. You are declaring that appearances are temporary and truth is eternal. The truth is abundance, and by refusing to echo lack with your words, you align yourself with the deeper reality that cannot fail. This is not passive silence born of fear, but deliberate silence born of mastery. It is the silence of the wise gardener who knows not to complain about the winter, for spring is already on its way. Fear is perhaps the greatest thief of supply, for it bends the magnet of the mind away from abundance. To speak of fear is to engrave its image deeper into the subconscious, giving it form and substance. But to keep silent, to withhold words of panic, is to starve fear of the nourishment it requires. In its place, a quiet expectancy begins to take root, and expectancy is the soil in which miracles grow. The man who speaks not of his fears, but holds steady in silence, soon discovers that the thing he dreaded dissolves before it can reach him. The woman who refuses to declare her poverty aloud finds that unexpected channels open to supply her needs. Silence is not emptiness, it is a vessel into which spirit pours its riches. Every word spoken either opens or closes the door of abundance. To say nothing of poverty is to leave that door unbarred. To say nothing of fear is to refuse entry to the thief at your gate. When your speech becomes a sanctuary of faith, prosperity finds its way inside, for it recognizes a house prepared for its dwelling. The universe does not move because of frantic pleas, it moves because of quiet trust. In stillness, in silence, in refusing to give voice to lack, you create the atmosphere where supply can appear swiftly, naturally, and without hindrance. Thus, saying nothing becomes a mighty act, and your silence becomes the very music that calls forth abundance. Divine supply is not something you must chase, nor is it something you must struggle to earn by the sweat of your brow alone. It is already open, already flowing, already prepared for you in perfect measure. The great storehouse of spirit is limitless, and every soul has its rightful share. The problem arises only when people imagine that supply is locked away, that they must push and strain to force its doors open. They see themselves as beggars outside a treasury, when in truth they are heirs to the kingdom. The doors of abundance are not closed. They have never been closed. Only the veil of fear and doubt makes them appear so. When that veil is lifted, the truth is revealed. Supply is present here and now, waiting for recognition. To live in harmony with this truth is to stop struggling and to begin trusting. Faith is the key that unlocks what you already possess. It is not your frantic effort that brings money to you. It is your calm expectancy. Divine law works in stillness, not in panic. When you lean back into the invisible arms of spirit and declare that every need is already supplied, you align yourself with a current far stronger than any human striving. It is like stepping into a river that carries you effortlessly downstream. You do not need to thrash or fight. The current itself does the work. In the same way, divine supply carries you when you release resistance and trust its perfect flow. This truth does not mean you remain idle. It means your actions are guided, inspired, and supported by spirit rather than driven by fear. The one who believes he must earn every penny by anxious effort works against the grain of life and tires his spirit. But the one who acts from a place of faith moves with ease, and his labor is multiplied many times over. He finds that small efforts yield large results, because he works in harmony with a power greater than himself. Divine supply does not demand sacrifice, only recognition. When you recognize it, it rushes in to meet you. Expectancy is the open hand that receives. To expect nothing is to close the hand tightly. Nothing can enter. But to expect much, with joy and calm assurance, is to hold the hand wide open, ready to receive the gifts that are already prepared. Divine supply is precise. It knows your needs before you voice them. Yet it waits for your recognition, for your willingness to accept. Many turn away because they do not believe they deserve, and thus they block their own flow. But the truth is that supply belongs to you by right, not by merit. You are a child of the infinite, and the infinite does not withhold, so release the notion that abundance must be forced. It is not a locked gate to be battered down, but an ever-flowing fountain to be acknowledged. When you walk in faith and expectancy, without fear and without doubt, you discover that the supply you sought has always been here, waiting for your recognition. In that moment, life itself becomes effortless, and prosperity flows into your hands as naturally as the sun rises each morning. Money is not the master of your life. It was never meant to hold power over you. Money is a servant, a tool, a faithful messenger that responds to your recognition of divine order. Too many people bow before money as though it were a god, fearing its absence, craving its presence, and measuring their worth by how much they possess. In doing so, they hand their authority to a shadow, forgetting that the true source of all wealth is infinite and unfailing. When you see money as your master, you become its slave, chasing after it with anxiety and despair. But when you see it as your servant, you command it with faith, and it comes obediently, flowing into your life in perfect order. Money itself has no power apart from the meaning you give it. It is paper, coin, numbers shifting on a screen, but behind it is the great substance of spirit that shapes itself into every form of supply. When you place your trust in the symbol rather than the source, you live in insecurity because symbols can change, markets can fall, jobs can end. But when you place your trust in divine order, you live in peace, for you know the substance is endless and unchanging. One channel may close, but another opens instantly, for the servant of money must obey the command of spirit. When you affirm that all channels are open, that money flows freely and continuously, you align yourself with the true law, and money rushes forward to serve your need. The key is recognition. You must recognize that you are not ruled by circumstance, by economy, by paycheck, or by any human structure. You are ruled by divine law, and divine law decrees abundance for every soul who trusts it. Money, then, is simply one of many instruments through which that abundance flows. It responds to your consciousness. If you think of it with fear, it flees. If you speak of it with complaint, it resists. But if you recognize it as a willing servant, it becomes faithful and abundant. Speak to it as Florence Scovel Shinn taught. Declare that it is obedient to your word, that it comes in perfect ways, that it serves your highest good. In this recognition, you take your rightful place as master, and money assumes its proper role as servant. Divine order means that there is no chaos in supply. Every dollar, every opportunity, every resource has a place and a timing. You need not force it. You need only trust its precision. When you recognize this, money appears exactly when it is needed, never late, never scarce. You can walk in calm assurance that the law is at work, arranging, balancing, and delivering. This removes the burden of worry. You no longer chase after money. You walk with dignity, knowing it follows you, ready to serve. Therefore, let go of fear and reverence for money, as though it held power over your life. Place your reverence in spirit, in divine law, and see money as a loyal servant carrying out its duties. When you recognize this order, you are free. Free from anxiety, free from bondage, free to live in abundance without strain. Money flows to you not as a master's command, but as a servant's response, ready and willing to fulfill your every rightful demand. Stillness, faith, and watchfulness are the keys that open the invisible door to prosperity. The world teaches that you must always strive, push, and labor endlessly to earn your good, but Spirit whispers a higher truth. In quiet confidence lies your strength, and in trust lies your supply. When you still the restless mind, when you calm the anxious heart, you create a space into which abundance can enter. The universe does not deliver blessings into a vessel that is already overflowing with fear and worry. It seeks the quiet heart, the expectant soul, the one who has learned to wait without doubt. In that stillness, the great machinery of divine law begins to move, arranging circumstances and preparing channels through which prosperity flows without resistance. Faith is the unwavering knowing that what you desire is already on its way. It is not hope, which wavers between belief and doubt, but certainty, which stands firm no matter what appearances suggest. Faith is the invisible hand that draws supply from the unseen into the seen. To hold faith when there is no outward sign is to exercise the true power of spirit. You may look upon an empty purse, yet if you declare, "My supply is abundant and unfailing," and rest in that declaration without fear, you set in motion the law that must bring forth your good. Faith never fails, for it calls forth that which already exists in the realm of spirit. It is only doubt that delays or obstructs. Watchfulness is the final key. To watch is to live in expectancy, with eyes open for the many ways spirit can deliver its gifts. Too often, people demand their good in one specific form, blind to the fact that supply may come through another door. The watchful soul remains alert, ready to recognize opportunities, ready to see blessings in unexpected shapes. A gift, a chance meeting, a new idea. all may be the channel through which prosperity appears. When you are watchful, you do not miss these openings. You see the hand of spirit in every detail, and you move with it in perfect order. Stillness keeps you centered, faith keeps you steady, and watchfulness keeps you receptive. Together they form the posture of true prosperity. In this posture, you need not chase or struggle. You simply attract. Money flows, doors open, and blessings appear, not because you force them, but because you are aligned, expectant, and ready. This is the effortless way of spirit, the way that Florence Scovel Shinn taught, a way that honors divine law rather than human anxiety. Therefore, be still, trust fully, and watch carefully. In your calm silence, in your unwavering faith, and in your expectant eyes, you create the perfect conditions for abundance to rush in. Money will flow to you instantly, as naturally as sunlight breaks the dawn, for Spirit is ever ready to supply those who wait in confidence and walk in expectancy.